Good morning. During the declared emergency in the City of Toronto, Committee of Adjustment virtual public hearings are being conducted by electronic means through WebEx, an online digital platform, and streamed on the Toronto City Planning YouTube channel. These measures are necessary to comply with physical distancing requirements and a provincial order that limits attendance at public gatherings. My name is Bruce Mullock. Panel members this morning are Nimrod Salomon, Erin Cheng, Joanne Hayes, and Lisa Valentini. This will be a virtual public hearing. Participants who have registered in advance will be able to make their presentations to the committee using WebEx, an online event platform that is being monitored by city staff. Anyone wishing to view the hearing may do so by watching on YouTube. Participants who have registered in advance will be connecting either by computer, phone, or tablet. All participants will be automatically muted on entry. When his or her item is called, each participant will be unmuted by the moderator, one person at a time.
Bruce, can I just make a suggestion?
Yes.
Can you move the your microphone just closer to where you're speaking?
Thank you for that suggestion.
Okay.
Only the committee members will be participating by video. Registered participants will be participating by audio only. We ask that you also mute your devices until you are called upon to speak. We acknowledge that the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. In accordance with Sections 45 and 53 of the Planning Act 1990 as amended, this meeting of the Committee of Adjustment of the City of Toronto is called to order. The Committee of Adjustment considers applications for variances from the provisions of the zoning bylaw that apply to property, permissions to extend or to alter non-conforming uses, and consent to sever property in order to create new lots. Anyone in attendance today who wants to receive a copy of the decision of the committee on an application must submit a written request for a decision by email. Please ensure that you include your name, address, and an email address, because Committee of Adjustment and TLAB will be sending notifications and appeal updates by email only. You may not agree with the decision of the committee. Decisions may be appealed to the Toronto Local Appeal Body, TLAB, or in some limited circumstances to the Ontario Land Tribunal. Appeal instructions are set out at the bottom of the decision of the committee. Now, procedure. I will call each item in the order that it's listed on the agenda. Where an application is uncontested, the agent or applicant will proceed with their presentation if requested by the committee. The committee may ask questions and/or take the matter into committee for a decision. Each speaker, including the agent or the applicant, will be given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee. And I will comment as you are approaching the 5-minute mark. When addressing the committee, please clearly state your name. Please remember to confine your remarks to the matters outlined in the application. The applicant or agent will proceed first and may be asked to make a presentation to the committee on the application. Please note that the committee may not entertain revisions to proposals at the hearing today. The committee may decide to defer the application if substantially revised to ensure the revised application is accurate and that all those entitled to notice of the application are informed of the changes. Then individuals, either in support of or opposed to the application, will be invited to speak. Committee members may ask questions of each speaker after the speaker has finished their presentation. When all the speakers are finished, the applicant or agent will have an opportunity to rebut, but only those matters that were raised by the speakers. And that will mark the end of discussion. The application will then be taken into committee for a decision. Madam Deputy Secretary Treasurer, have the minutes been confirmed by members for the previous meeting?
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes, that would be the December 8th.
Thank you very much. In that case, I'll look to the panel, please, for a motion. Ms. Hayes, motion to approve, thank you.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to move a motion to approve the minutes of December 8th.
Thank you. That is seconded by Ms. Valentini. Moved and seconded to approve those minutes. Those in favor, show of hands, please. And the motion is carried. The minutes are confirmed. Madam Deputy Secretary Treasurer, are there any declarations of interest by staff or by panel members on this morning's agenda? Have you received any requests for deferral?
Through you, Mr. Chair, no.
Thank you.
Sorry, yes, there is one for this morning. Item number 4, 25 St. Claren's Avenue. The sign was not posted in time, so it's improper notification. We have scheduled this item for the February 23rd hearing.
It has been rescheduled.
Yes.
It's been rescheduled. Does it need a deferral motion?
No,
then?
it still needs the deferral motion, but just so you're aware that it will come back to us on February the 23rd.
In that case, I don't think we need to talk to the applicant. We can go straight to a motion. So I will look to panel, please, for a motion regarding number 4 item. Ms. Hayes, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Given the fact that the statutory requirements for notice were not done, I would move a motion to defer the application.
Thank you. Is there a second? That is seconded by Mr. Salomon. So moved and seconded to defer item number 4 to the February 23rd meeting. Those in favor, show of hands, please. Unanimous vote to carry the motion and defer the item. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, just, is there any way to, I can hear what you're saying, but it doesn't sound as crisp as it normally is. I don't know if anybody, maybe it's my headphones.
It's
Anybody
this.
else have that problem?
It is this.
I'm not sure it's the mask. I think it's the
Let's
mic maybe not close enough.
Well, I'm right now about
It's
as
the
close
same,
as I can
okay.
get.
Is that better, you think?
Is that better for your hearing? No. I'm going to try, let me try a different mic, or I'll try both if I've been told.
That's better.
That's better.
I
Well,
think
let's use this mic then. So just a moment, please. I'm not going to use both. I'm going to use one. Testing, testing, testing.
Why don't you try
might-
it with, try it
Test.
with your mask on, Chair?
That's what I was going to suggest too. It might have been the mic.
Testing, testing, testing.
That's good.
Very good. Okay, thank you for that, Ms. Valentini. It would be a shame if people were missing what's going on. So very good. All right then. With that, we'll proceed to the agenda for this morning's items, starting with item number 1, which is 39 Chester Avenue. And on
I'm
this
sorry,
application...
Mr. Chair, can I just interrupt? I thought there was another item, number 34, that was requesting a deferral.
You're quite right, Mr. Salomon, there is. And what my thought is on that one is to hold that until this afternoon's, because it is part of this afternoon's agenda. So we will
Okay.
do that one for sure.
Great, thank you.
And,
Most welcome.
and through you, Mr. Chair, there are no files to be closed this morning.
Thank you. Item number 1, 39 Chester Ave. On this application, the panel has before it correspondence from the applicant's materials submitted. There's correspondence in support from 47 Chester, and there are a total of 8 form letters in support from occupants or owners of 36 Arundel, 22 and 20, 32, 34, 38, 41, 49 Chester, received on or before 15 December. And moderator, is the agent with us? And we'll ask the agent to join us, please, by stating your name.
Hello, my name is Mike D. Oliveira. I'm acting as the agent on behalf of 39 Chester Avenue, and I'm with Replacement Design, located at 911 Davenport Road. And I'd just like to wish the panel a happy new year, and hope you've all had a good, safe start to this new year, and best of luck to all of you.
Okay, Mike, your voice is a bit soft, having a little trouble hearing you. So on this, I understand there are no speakers registered to speak to the application. I'm going to check with the panel, and your application pretty much speaks for itself. Is there any one thing you'd wish to say to the panel about the application?
I think you're correct. We tried to keep the application in line with similar approvals that have been allowed in the past in this area. We're well below similar GFAs. We're asking for 0.88, but there's been approvals from 0.9 all the way up to 1.4, including on neighboring 22 Chester. So we're well within GFAs in the area. We also tried to limit the addition to the extent of the existing deck. If you look at the home on the left-hand side, 41 Chester, that has a full 3-story rear addition. We tried to step our addition on the front and back to kind of cut down that towering effect. I know we see a lot of across the city, and we've been trying to cut down on that as much as possible to keep people from feeling like all these homes are towering on their backyards. So we tried to minimize impacts to neighbors as much as we could. All the conditions for setbacks and height are actually within the existing conditions of the home. As I said, we just did the addition going straight back. The front additions are in line with the existing second floor. So all those setbacks are existing. Even our main wall height, we actually lowered it slightly by 0.3 just because of the new configuration of the roof. We have a slightly lower main wall than what was existing. But I believe that's it. Open to any questions.
Thank you very much. Panel members, any questions of the speaker? Hearing none, I would then look to panel for a motion, please. Ms. Valentini.
Thank you. The materials were very well put together, and based on the materials and the explanation and review of the area, it's clear to me that this is in keeping with what is currently existing in the neighborhood. I think the articulation, particularly at the rear, lessens any impact. So in my view, it meets the 4 tests. And that being said, I'd like to bring a motion forward for approval of the application without any conditions.
Thank you. Is there a second? It is seconded by Ms. Hayes. Moved and seconded to approve. Those in favor? And the motion is carried unanimously, and the application is so approved. Item number 2. (106) Main Street. The committee has before it applicant's materials. There's an arborist report. There are previous permit drawings from Stephen King from January the 5th. There is a staff report from Urban Forestry and correspondence in concern from 104 Main Street. So we'll now ask the applicant to join us, please, by stating your name.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's Stephen King, the architect, presenter.
Good morning to you. And I'm just going to check with the moderator. I understand there is someone standing by to speak. Okay. So, Mr. King, you'll have 5 minutes now to present your application to the panel. Please proceed.
Okay. We've been doing quite a bit of work with the zoning examiner and the planner to eliminate the variances and make the best use of the site. We've eliminated all but one, which was the length, which is the only variance we're asking for. Maximum length is 14 meters, and the actual proposed length is 13.145 of the building. But the variance results from the fact that the property to the north, they have an addition that was put in front of the front main wall, and that resulted in the average setback between the north property and the south property, that is 104 and 108, and so that was used as the front setback, and then that resulted in the variance for the length. But the actual building is less than the 14 meters, which is the length for a duplex. A single family is 17 meters, but duplex is 14. And all the other variances were eliminated in our design process. We worked with the planner along the way.
Thank you very much.
There is a letter from the neighbor, but from what I can tell, most of these are construction concerns about noise, disruption to the neighborhood, etc. I noticed that if you, when the project goes ahead, you have to put up a notice of infill anyway, so that will be up saying what the project is when it's happening, and who the contact is. There is one note here, item 2 from their letter, saying privacy of the windows on the south side, but we don't have any windows on the south side, and they wouldn't be permitted anyway because we don't have a 4-foot setback. And their property actually has an addition which is longer than ours. So anyway, I think it's a suitable design for the neighborhood. Fits in. We have parking, some backyard. We're expanding rental housing in the area, and as I say, the only reason we have a variance at all is because the property to the north put an addition on the back, which may be existing non-conforming. We don't know. To me, it looks like an old addition that was just sort of enclosed over the years, but I don't know that for sure. Anyway, I think it's a reasonable proposal, suitable for the area, so it meets the 4 tests. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Okay, then we'll go now to the registered speaker and ask that speaker.
Hello.
Good morning.
Oh, hi. My name is Clara. I'm the owner at 104 Main Street.
Okay, Clara, good morning. The panel is listening, and we do have your letter in front of us.
Yes, I wanted to join today. Sorry, let me just turn off this mute thing.
Hi, Clara. I think you muted yourself because we can't hear you anymore.
hello, can you hear me now?
Now we hear you once again, Clara, yes. Go ahead,
Okay.
please. Go ahead, we hear you fine, just go ahead as it is.
Okay, thank you very much. So I wanted to join today because I did want to just clarify that my biggest concern is the undermining of our home's foundation, because it looks like the plan intends to extend the building along the existing setbacks from the property lines, which are negligible. And our concern is excavation this close to another building can affect the foundation, waterproofing, and drainage. I also am also sharing concerns from our neighbor on 36 Swanwick Avenue, who claims that they have not been consulted throughout this project. One of the concerns is it's a very tight site to construct on, and access to the site is only through I think it's a public laneway, and families regularly use a laneway as a shortcut en route to schools. Apparently, 6 family homes regularly access the laneway throughout the day, especially during the pandemic. And I understand that our property was raised as a precedent in terms of our house length being longer than the adjacent properties, but this fact should not mean that every precedent should be used, because every other property, since each property has its own unique challenges and character.
Yeah. Okay.
So I just want to bring that to the committee's awareness and raise our concerns.
Thank you, Clara. So I'm going to let the applicant speak to your concerns. The one thing I will mention, though, on behalf of the committee itself is that the Committee of Adjustment does deal with minor variances. So we're just dealing with the one minor variance which is shown on the application. Quite a bit of the concerns you have, and I understand them, are what we call construction issues. They're real, but they're not the authority, under the authority of the Committee of Adjustment to address. So the City Construction Department would be your department to connect with on those once construction has begun, if you have concerns. But I'm going to let the applicant respond to the concern in your letter. I think, in fact, he probably already has. Let's go back to the applicant, please.
Okay, yeah, I think I addressed them pretty much. They're basically construction issues, and they're legitimate concerns, but those are handled during the construction and the building permit phase. So we have to submit building permit drawings that show appropriate ways of constructing it. There's a notice of construction you have to put up at the front of the site. I think it's called the infill notice of infill. You put a picture of the building up and information about it. It's a standard city form. You have to put that up at the front, as far as I know. As I say, you're concerned about the windows. There's no windows on the south. As I say, I think the design is appropriate for the area. Your building next door is longer, but I think that's probably appropriate for the area too. I wouldn't have any problem presenting that for the committee. We did, as I say, we worked for a long time actually on the design of this project. I worked for the planner, Stephanie Hong, and she was, happy with it. There's no letter of concern from the planner or any other department except for forestry, which is a standard tree permit required.
Okay, thank you. All right then. Panel, if there are no further questions for the applicant, or no questions, let's take the matter into committee. Anyone have a comment they'd like to make before we move to a decision? Ms. Valentini, go ahead, please.
Thank you. I appreciate hearing from both the applicant and the neighbor. I understand changes are always difficult, and the neighbor has raised the concerns that she has. But that being said, in terms of the context, I think this addition, in my view, is appropriate for the context. And I think the applicant's explanation that the variance is triggered because of the average setback between the two houses and the both of them, one of them having an addition. So we've heard that the actual building is under 14 meters. So really, in my view, this is what I would say is truly is a minor variance. I don't think there is going to be any adverse impact. And as the chair had pointed out, some of the construction issues are not things that this committee is tasked to address. So I feel this meets the 4 tests. And that being said, I'd like to bring a motion forward for approval of the application, and it would be subject to urban forestry condition number 2.
Thank you very much. There is a second to that motion by Ms. Hayes. Thank you. Moved and seconded to approve subject to forestry. All those in favor, show of hands, please. That's a unanimous vote to carry the motion and to approve the application. And the panel moves on to item number 3, 142 Pearson Avenue. On this application, the only materials before us are those submitted by the applicant. And I'm just going to check with the moderator. Do we have someone standing by in interest? We do. Okay, so there is one speaker standing by. We'll ask now the applicant, please, to join us by stating your name.
My name is Neil Burke.
Good morning, Neil. Neil, you'll have 5 minutes to present your application to the panel.
I'm sorry about that. I am the homeowner of 22 years. And so I don't have a very polished presentation here, but I will tell you that I am not changing the height of my building. It does really look minor to me. I have been speaking to my very immediate neighbors, both adjacent on either side, and we've definitely come to some agreements around working together around this terrace that is in the backyard. Prime concern being privacy, and we're wanting as much privacy as they are. So we are basically working together on that. I will say that on the 3rd story of my home, there are 2 tiny little rooms, and I have teenagers now, and they can't fit through the doors. So I am simply adding a bathroom up there for my 2 boys, and more appropriately sized rooms. The footprint is not changing in the house, and that's basically it. I've got 2 little bump out bay windows. One existing bay window is being squared out, and the other one is in the back of the house, and that is what I have to say.
Thank you very much for that. Let's go now to the speaker standing by and ask that speaker to join us by stating your name, please.
Hi, Joy. You've been unmuted on our end.
Hello.
Hi, Joy. You might have to unmute yourself on your end or speak up louder. I'll just give you a call on the phone number you provided. Hi, Joy. Can you hear us? Can you try unmuting yourself on your end? We see you in the meeting. I'll give you one more call to the phone number provided.
Go ahead, that's fine, please do.
Mr. Chair, I'm assuming all the mics are turned on in the committee room. It's a little bit hard to have, because whoever was speaking, it was hard to hear. I could hear you saying unmute, but I'm not sure if the.
Ryan, I think they're.
Oh, there you go.
This is the speaker?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, well, we'll wait for the speaker. I think she's on her way. Good morning.
I don't know. Hi, Joy. We heard you for a second, but I think you muted yourself again.
Hello?
Hello? Do you hear me? I hear you, Joy. Do you hear me?
I do. I'm sorry. I've had trouble all morning with the sound. It's been really hard to hear. The committee, especially speaking, I've been able to hear the homeowners, but I've been working with Neil. I live right next door, and I was really just joining in more for information. We had some concerns about of the roof line specifically and privacy, but the homeowners have been great about consulting with us. So I really don't, I don't have any objections or anything. I was just interested to hear and to look at the plan. I think for me, the biggest concern was water and how the roof line was going to work and marry with the house, because they are flashed together, they're attached. But again, there's been a lot of cooperation and consultation. So, yeah.
Thank you very much. That tells us a lot. Listen, just to go back to your initial comment there, you mentioned you were having trouble hearing the committee. Are you having trouble hearing all the panel members? And
it's particularly you. I think I can hear the other panel members much more clearly.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone else is having that issue, but
yeah, we understood we had a potential problem there a few minutes
yeah, I
ago.
saw the switching of the mics and stuff, but
Yeah.
it didn't help from here. But and I wasn't sure how to join, so I apologize for delaying you all for those few minutes there.
That's not a problem. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We'll
Thank
go
you.
back. Okay, we'll go back now to the owner.
Oh.
Okay, owner, good. We're back to you now. And in fact, there are no points to rebut. So that having been said, anything final, owner, you want to say to the committee?
No, I think that's about it. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. We'll now take the application into committee for a decision. Panel members, Ms. Hayes, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate hearing that the applicant, coordinated and had ongoing discussions with his neighbors. That's always helpful. In terms of the variances before the committee, I believe they are indeed minor. The existing FSI on the property is 0.9, so it's going to 0.93. The other variances I do not believe will have any substantive impact, and I believe that the application meets the 4 tests, and I would like to move a motion to approve the application with no conditions.
Thank you. Second to that motion. Mr. Cheng. Moved and seconded to approve. Members in favor? Show of hands, please. And the application is so approved. And panel moves on to item number 4. In fact, number 4 has been deferred. We'll be moving on to number 5. Thank you.
Sorry, through you, Mr. Chair, perhaps maybe we should have you use 2 mics, and maybe that'll help with the sound.
thanks for the suggestion. That was tried before, and in fact, I think the technical guy said it's actually worse that way.
Okay.
But we can try it. We'll just do a quick test here. 2 mics now, simultaneously, testing, testing, testing. How is that coming through to you panel members?
That's fine, but I think the test is with your mask on, Bruce.
I think I'm going to have to remove the mask. I believe I do have to remove the mask to make this work.
Well, try the test now with your mask, Bruce, and let's hear.
Agreed, and I'm not sure it's a mask, but
Testing, testing, testing. Testing, testing, testing. Two
It's,
microphones.
it's a little more muffled with the mask, but I can hear you clearly. I think it's just that you have to be close enough to the mic, but that's just my view.
Okay, I'm going to try 2 mics then. Do speak up if the quality of the sound changes, please. Okay then, item number 5. On this application, the panel has before it applicant's materials, covering letter from the applicant, June the 4th, planning rationale from the applicant, December 17, presentation materials, January the 5th, previous draft reference plan, September 28. And there is comment from community planning, there is comment from transportation, and there is a staff report from urban forestry. So we shall go now to the agent. In this case, agent will ask you to join us, please, by stating your name.
Good morning. My name is Claire Ricker. I'm a senior planner with Bousfields Inc., and I'm operating as the agent for the application.
Okay, Claire, there is someone who wishes registered to speak in interest on this application, so we'll ask you for a brief presentation. You'll have up to 5 minutes. Use of it what you need. Go ahead, please.
Sure. If the committee could please bring up the supporting material document. Excellent, thank you. So I just wanted to start off by saying that the proposal before the committee today reflects a development that has been reviewed and approved by city staff by way of the site plan review process. NOAC was issued for this file on December 21st, and I understand that the City Planning and Transportation, through their written submission, have written that there are no concerns with the application, and we accept the conditions set out by urban forestry. So the proposed variances before you today would permit a modern and compact addition to the existing building. So shown on the slide here is just for locational context. The site's located on the north side of Geary, west of Dufferin Street. Surrounding the building is non-residential uses with a low-rise residential dwellings to the northwest, which are separated from the site by rear yard garages and a private driveway. And as you may be aware, through the city's Geary Works planning study, a number of properties in the area were identified for cultural heritage value, including the site. This site was included on the city's register on November 2021. Next slide, please. So if you can see in this rendering here, the proposed 2-story addition to the existing 2-story building. As mentioned, the owner and consultant team worked extensively with city staff to refine and revise the proposal based on the comments received during our site plan process. Next slide. Thank you. So as illustrated in this site plan, the proposal utilizes setbacks and stepbacks to the addition to bring prominence to the existing building and minimize built form impacts. We have a consistent 7.5 rear yard setback with the east driveway conditioned to be retained, and the existing 1-story garage in the rear is set to be demolished. The mechanical penthouse is centrally located with access stairwell set back from the edge of the building. Next slide, please. So the ground floor plan best illustrates the extent of the building with the addition shown in blue and orange. And while the existing building walls, which will be retained in the development, are highlighted in blue outline. Parking is located in the rear, with landscaping also provided in the rear of the site. Along the south property line, along GEARY, the existing landscaping condition will remain. Universal washroom is provided within the building that is adjacent to the amenity gym shown as number 6. So the requested variances today will provide for a modernization of an underutilized property on GEARY with a compact addition that will see efficient parking, outdoor and amenity space introduced to the site. So if the committee would like, I can go into more detail about the setback and height variances or conclude there.
I think you're fine to conclude there. That gives us a very nice sense of what the direction of the application is. Let's go now to the speaker who's standing by and registered to speak. Good morning.
It looks like the caller has dropped off. I'll give them one more call.
Okay. So, moderator informs me that the registered speaker has dropped off the call. So, that being the case, we can go now into committee and move toward a decision. Does anyone have questions for the applicant, or would anyone like to make a comment before we move to a decision? If not, we can go right to a motion, please. Mr. Salomon, go ahead.
I think the development is appropriate for this site, and although there are quite a few variances that are proposed, I think they are each minor in nature, and so I would move approval of the variances subject to urban forestry conditions 1 and 2.
Thank you for that. That is seconded by Ms. Hayes. So it is therefore moved and seconded to approve the application subject to forestry. Those in favor, show of hands, please. And a unanimous vote carries the motion, and the application is so approved. Panel moves on to item number 6. 306 Willow Avenue. Before us, we have the applicant materials, 2 photographs from October the 1st, presentation materials from the agent, January 10, and there is correspondence in concern or interest from 304 Willow Avenue. I assume that would be next door. And we do have a speaker standing by, registered. Okay, so we'll go now to the agent, please, and ask the agent to join us by stating your name.
Good morning. My name is Antonio Giovinazzo, and I am the agent for 306 Willow.
Okay, good morning, Antonio. You'll have 5 minutes, if you need it, to present your application to the panel. Go ahead, please.
Thank you very much. So my clients at 306 Willow here, they've had a second story with quite a small bedroom at the rear. There's 3 bedrooms total on the second floor, and having 2 kids, that small bedroom in the rear just didn't do it. It was very cramped and tight. It was only about 8 feet deep by 10 feet wide, which could barely fit a twin bed in there. So they wanted to expand on the second floor to give their kids some more bedroom space, as well as themselves as a married couple, a larger master area with their own ensuite for privacy. We diligently tried to stay within the bylaws. And as you can see with the presentation material that we prepared, if you could pull that up, please, of the map. Submitted on January the 10th. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. As you can see, we did a survey of properties that were in a 50-meter radius of the located property, 306 Willow, and approximately 20 of those properties came in over the 0.83 FSI that we're requesting, some as high as 1.5 FSI. And there was a number that are over the bylaw as well, of 0.69. So we tried to definitely stay within the neighborhood, and we did do our best for the depth as well. You can see on the floor plans, instead of doing a full walk-in closet, we have full height built-ins in order to minimize the length of that addition that we were taking up. So we did do our best in order to try and keep this within the bylaws. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, then, let's go to the registered speaker standing by.
Hi, Dorian. You've been unmuted on our end. You might have to unmute yourself.
Hello, good morning, Mr. Chair and committee. My name is Dorian Prasad. I am the homeowner and resident at 304 Willow Avenue, which is adjacent to the property in question before the committee. We have been in touch with the homeowners, and our main concern in terms of the extension was the issue of privacy and having the extension on the house. To the extent that there were windows at that second level, that would basically be pointing and give direct line of access into my master bedroom, which is at the back of the home. We understand from reviewing the plans and from the homeowners at 306 that that is not within the current plan, is to have windows on that south wall. And so to the extent that that forms the permits that are approved and the plans for any approvals that are granted for the extension, we don't have any other concerns.
Thank you very much. So let's put up the elevation for the south. It's the south wall that we are talking about, correct? That's the one that faces your property?
The image on the screen looks like that's the north wall. So I'm on the other side.
There's no south wall image. Okay. So let's go then. Okay, then. Thank you, Speaker. We'll go back to the applicant then, looking for some clarity on this. Thank you very much. Any questions for this speaker panel? No, hearing none, we'll go back to the applicant.
Thank you. Yes, we acknowledge the neighbors' concerns with having windows on that south wall. Definitely none will be put there, as you can see in the second floor plan. We're not planning to put any windows on that addition besides facing the rear, which faces the neighboring rear properties, and we wouldn't have any view into the neighboring bedrooms.
Antonio, as far as you know, is there in your presentation package, is there a south wall elevation there that we're missing, or is it missing?
I think that might have been missed because previous to that addition, that whole side is a party wall. So I believe that wasn't drafted originally because that was a party wall, so there was nothing to show there. But then when the addition was added on, that south elevation wasn't drafted because majority of that, about I would say 56 feet is about of a party wall.
Okay, so here we have, as you say, here we have the second floor layout, and there's the proposed addition, and it would be I can see that there are, okay, there's the addition, and it looks to me as if there are windows on neither side, in fact, of your addition. On the sides, there are some at the rear. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, okay. Okay, I think that does give us some clarity on the situation, and I can see now why the neighbor at 304 might have had concern because of that missing south elevation. So, panel members, any questions for the agent? No. In that case, we'll take the application into committee for a decision, and we can go to a motion, or unless someone has a comment first. I'm just going to say on this that if there is a motion to approve, you might wish to tie it to that second floor layout drawing that was just shown. Could you put that back up, please? Go ahead. If there, Go ahead, Mr. Salomon, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I believe that there's only two variances, and I believe they are minor. The applicant's information indicates that the proposed FSI is very similar to the existing FSI of many of the properties in the surrounding area. So I believe that the proposal is minor in nature, and I would move approval of the variances with no conditions.
I'm just going to ask you if you would like to, just with this missing of the south elevation in the package, would you like to include in your motion a condition that the rear addition would be constructed in accordance with the second floor layout? This is with respect to the windows. Just a friendly amendment.
I'm sure we can add that as a condition. That would ensure that there would be no windows on that second story addition wall on that side.
Thank you. Is there a second to that motion? There is a second, Mr. Cheng. So moved and seconded to approve. All those in favor, show of hands, please. The motion is carried and the application is approved, subject to being tied to the second floor plan layout. And the panel moves on to item number 7. (142) Humbercrest Boulevard. Here we're dealing with applicant's materials, photograph from September, arborist report from August, email correspondence from community planning, city planning, a staff report from TRCA, and we have correspondence, all of it in support, from 132, 144, 146, Humbercrest Boulevard, and also from 150 and 167 Humbercrest Boulevard. And on this application, we'll ask the agent to join us, please.
Hi, Isaac. You've been unmuted on our end. You might have to unmute yourself.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Isaac Michaelov. I'm here on behalf of the owners of the house at 134 Humbercrest, Shannon Dundas and Jeff Wright. As you can see, we are asking for 4 minor variances, which we think are very much within the character of the street and neighborhood.
Okay,
as
Isaac.
you've already mentioned, we have 5 letters of approval from neighbors. Yeah, if you wish, I can go over anything that might be of any concern to you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to ask the panel if they'd like a presentation. Anyone like a presentation? I'm not hearing any requests for one. Any questions for Isaac? If not, if there are no questions, no? Then we can take the application into committee for a decision, please. Ms. Hayes, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Having reviewed the materials on file and reviewed the character of the existing neighborhood, and having TRCA saying that they have reviewed the geotechnical slope stability study that was provided by the applicant and they have no concerns with respect to the application, I believe the variances being requested are indeed minor and are not out of character with the immediate context area, and here to move a motion to approve the application with no conditions.
Thank you for that. And that is seconded by Ms. Valentini. So moved and seconded to approve without condition. Those in favor, show of hands, please. And the motion is carried unanimously. The application is approved. Thank you. Item number 8. 314 Strathmore Boulevard. On this, the panel has before it applicant materials, There's a revised site plan received January 4. There's a cover letter by the agent received January 4. And we have correspondence in support from 315 Strathmore. So we'll ask the agent to join us again, please.
Hi, my name is Mike DeOliveira. I'm here representing 314 Strathmore Boulevard. I'm with Replacement Design located at 911 Davenport Road.
Thank you very much. Okay, panel members, on this application, any questions for Mr. De Oliveira, or we can take it right into, oh, Ms. Valentini, go ahead.
Thank you. I guess a point of clarification with your revised cover letter and the revised zoning waiver. I think those are represented in the actual application. Is that correct? Like, we don't need to amend anything, do we?
Because of the timing for the public notices that went out, technically we removed the rear yard landscaping variances in discussions with community planning.
Right. Okay.
So essentially,
So you might need to amend that?
One less variance, yes.
Okay. So do we need to do a formal amendment of that, removing variance number 1?
So just for my clarity then, variance number 1 is removed from your application, Mr. De Oliveira?
Correct.
It is. Well, in that case, we should remove it, yes. I've just had confirmation that variance number 1 is removed, so the application is now being considered without variance number 1 being included at the applicant's request. Thank you, Ms. Valentini. Further questions? No. In that case, I think we can move to an application. Ms. Valentini.
Thank you. Given the amendment to the application, that's an improvement, reducing or increasing the softscape. I think, in my view, the 2 variances that are remaining are, in fact, minor in nature. I don't have any concerns with the request being made. And on that basis, I'd like to bring forward a motion for approval of the application as amended without any conditions.
Thank you very much. Second to that, there is Ms. Hayes. So moved and seconded to approve the application as amended. All in favor? Unanimous vote to carry the motion. The application is approved as amended. Panel moves right along to number 9. 37 Wilberton Road. We've got applicant materials. There are 5 photographs of trees on the property. Letters from the owners sent to neighbors, with a copy of a letter sent to the neighbors in December and received by us on January the 5th. There is email correspondence from community planning, a staff report from urban forestry, and there is support correspondence from 35 Wilberton, 28 Wilberton, and 86 and 88 Gormley. And we shall ask the agent, to join us, please, by stating your name.
Good morning. I'm Drew Laszlo, agent for the owner.
Good morning to you. Okay. Panel members, no one registered to speak in opposition here. Are there any questions for the agent? Would anyone like a presentation? No, hearing nothing on both requests, then we can take the application into committee for a motion, unless someone has a comment to make in advance. Anyone ready for a motion? Ms. Hayes, go ahead, please.
Mr. Solomon has his hand up first. If he wants to go, that's fine.
Very good. Mr. Solomon, there it is.
Sure, not a problem. I believe that the variances are minor in nature. I note that there is a third-story balcony, but it appears to be set into the building, and so it would not appear to have any privacy concerns. So I believe the variances are minor, and I would move approval of the variances subject to urban forestry condition number 2.
Thank you. Is there a second? It is seconded by Mr. Cheng. So moved and seconded to approve, subject to forestry. All in favor? And that motion is carried by a unanimous vote. The application is so approved, subject to forestry. Bringing the panel to item number 10, 181 Cedric Avenue. Here we have before us applicant's materials. And we have correspondence in opposition from 183 Cedric and also from 23 Moyer Ave.
Through you, Mr. Chair, staff have also received a very late comment from community planning requesting refusal of this application.
So, most important.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, it was really hard. I did not hear, I think it was the Deputy Secretary Treasurer that just spoke, but I could not hear. I could hear something, but not exactly what was said.
Through you, Mr. Chair, the staff have received a late memo from community planning requesting refusal of the application.
So, late memo, community planning to the committee suggesting refusal.
Chair, could I ask whether or not there was any reason, what the rationale was in that report, or?
Yes,
we will have staff put the report up on the screen.
Very good. Let's take a moment and do that, please. So we'll just take a moment here to put up this late communication from community planning, and then we'll proceed to the agent. So. Thank you very much for that. Okay, perhaps just leave that up for the time being until we get to the applicant. Okay, applicant, we'll ask you to join us, please, by stating your name.
Hi, my name is Bruno Lopez, and I'm the agent for the owner.
Very good. Okay, Bruno, you'll have 5 minutes maximum to present your application to the panel, and I'm just going to make a suggestion to you that you might wish to address this front streetscape issue that's raised by community planning in particular. Go ahead, please.
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, everybody. Actually, I had 2 lengthy conversations with city planner Catherine Jung. The last one, we actually reached an agreement. However, due to the situation of the homeowner currently financially and mortgage renewal and whatsoever, so there was a bit of a struggle with the timelines of resubmitting application to zoning so we can get, I would say, even less variances and accommodate to some extent what the city planner was actually requesting. So in a nutshell, and these are as well responding to some the two letters that we have from the neighbors, one just next door and one that abuts to the rear yard. There are some concerns about this front porch and the zero landscape. So in regards to the zero landscape, we can go to, if we have a Google view map, from 171, 155, 153, 151, 149, 141, 143, all these addresses have actually zero landscape. It's not uncommon on this street. It's quite visible. However, I made a promise to the planner that I'll do my best to actually, within our ability, to take the permeable pavers and actually make it as soft landscape as possible. This is going to be a little street, but it's almost impossible to do better than that. The second issue that she mentioned, and apparently is an issue as well to the next door neighbor, is that we are proposing, and as you members can see, we are proposing an enclosed porch at the front. So this was an existing concrete slab with a roof, a porch, a regular porch that the homeowner was trying to enclose it. Of course, he has probably some poor advice, and he should seek a permit. He bought this property in 2016. This property already had a couple orders. He's trying to work with the orders. We actually obtained, I did a design for himself for the basement. We did an underpinning, we obtained a permit. He's currently doing the work of underpinning, so he can temporarily move and or use the basement and main floor while these major renovation will have. We are talking a family of 5, so technically they will need 4 bedrooms for a healthy living. And again, the big argument was about the closing of this porch. So again, in talking with Catherine Jung, city planner, I told that I would like to propose to the committee to actually approve the application with the condition on keeping this porch open. Instead of being closed, to keep it open. In terms of setbacks, if you look to the adjacent neighbor to the south, it's pretty much along and in keep with the existing. So if you see the steps from the neighbor, actually they have a mini porch beside the steps there. So again, we are talking apples to apples in terms of setbacks. It's not that we are severely increasing. No, we are keeping within the next door neighbors. Variance number 1, again, it's zero landscape. It's really hard to get any landscape. And again, as I mentioned, there are at least 7 or 8 addresses like along that side of the street that they have 0. Number 2, we have the length variance of 17 meters, but this actually unfortunately happens because we are considering and proposing this porch to be enclosed. If this porch is open, we actually gonna be at 16.7, so this variance will disappear. And again, if we had resubmit and if we had done this variance would go. Variance number 3, we are asking at 1.38 times. If you look to the north, the almost next door neighbor, 2 houses up, this committee actually approved recently close to 1.4 times. So it's pretty much along the same lines in terms of mass. Number 4, it's the front yard setback. So again, we are triggering almost 0 setback, and the reason why is because we are asking for this porch to be enclosed. If this porch is to be open, we are actually at 2.53, which means that we are within the keep of the neighborhood. So what I would like to ask and propose the committee is actually to approve this application with conditions of trying to do the best of our ability with the landscape in the front, which again, there is not much that we can do, but there is certain an effort and it was a promise on my end to do our best. and actually keep that front porch open, which again will bring it to its original condition and will be with keeping with the neighborhood.
Thank you very much. Okay, now, I'm going to go now to the registered speakers, but I do wish to say to you that it's up to you whether you want to change the application. The committee is not going to negotiate the individual variances with you. So you may wish to look at your variances, decide if you wish to remove the enclosed porch from the purpose of the application, and if you do decide to do that, think whether or not, think how that will affect your variances in terms of numerical values. So just have that in mind if you wish while we're listening to the registered speakers. And the first speaker will ask to join us, please, by stating your name.
Chair, may I just ask a question before we hear from the speakers?
Who is this, please?
It's Miss Hayes, sorry.
Oh, go ahead, sorry.
I've heard what the applicant says, but I'm, from a clarity perspective, and a plans perspective, I'm not sure how the applicant is asking us to judge the application with those comments, without the certainty of knowing in actuality what the new design is going to look like. So I'm a little troubled by that in terms of my ability to assess the application and make a determination based on those submissions.
I hear you. What would you like to see happen, Ms. Hayes?
Well, I don't think that's for me to say. However,
okay, well,
unless there's an amendment or changes to the application here that are, concrete, I'm not sure what we're being asked to consider.
Quite so.
We
Okay.
can't, I don't believe we can put a condition on that says, well, we hope they improve the landscaping situation. We do have a report from planning that's asking us to refuse the application based on certain things. And, the planning report in and of itself is not a direction to the committee, certainly. However, to ensure that we have clarity with respect to actually what we're asking to consider, I'm a little uneasy trying to view something against the planning application, plus the number of concerns that have been issued, plus the history on this property. I think it's imperative that the committee have certainty with respect to what's before it. I don't know whether or not the applicant has considered, and I have no idea what my fellow committee members would think, to ask to defer the application to put in place in terms of plans the actual now, what has been argued is the intent of the application, have an opportunity to have a further discussion with planning, and come back to the committee with certainty so that we can truly assess what is being requested in the context of the comments that have been received, both in the objection letters and in the comments that have been lately received, and that we've been shared with us today from planning. That would be my thoughts.
Very good. And I'm in total agreement with you with respect to the stage of these proceedings when we actually get down to considering the application, that we have to know for certain what we are approving or refusing. At this stage, we're not quite there yet. I would like to hear what the registered speakers who are standing by have to say with respect to the application as it stands right now. Right now, the application we are dealing with is that which exists on the notice, which all of us are looking at. Let's go now to the registered speakers, if I have the permission of, or if I have the agreement of the panel members. Let's hear what the registered speakers have to say then go back to the applicant, and then we'll take this into committee and decide whether we think we have a clear application or whether we'd like to see a different approach taken. Is that okay with you, to hear from those registered speakers? What problem do you see with that?
I just wondered if the applicant wanted to respond to just my initial kind of musings there.
Let's go back to the applicant.
Yes, through Mr. Chair, I certainly understand Joanne's comments. Maybe again, for the sake of clarity, maybe I'll have to ask for a deferral, because if Joanne is not clear about the situation, which I fully understand, I believe maybe other panel members will be on the same alignment. It might be a little bit more difficult to actually somehow put some conditions, which are very common for committing to impose conditions. Might the numbers not be correct or so? Maybe at this point in time, maybe it will be a wise thing to do to ask for a deferral and give me the opportunity to actually do some minor changes that actually will eliminate at least one of the conditions, and will be more clear for the committee to actually have a firm decision based on a better design, I'll say, that will be more in keep with what we're looking for.
Okay, then applicant, I'm going to put a very direct question to you. This is important now. My question to you is this: I need a clear indication from you as to whether would you like to request a deferral now?
Yes, I would. Yes, I would.
You're requesting deferral. Okay, so that's clear. I'm now going to go to the registered speakers that are standing by to ask their thoughts on deferral, because they are standing by. They're expecting to hear this application decided today by the committee, but they may be quite agreeable to deferral. So let's now go to the registered speakers. And speakers, I'm going to come to you now in order that you're standing by. My question to you is, I'm not going to ask you your thoughts and concerns about the actual content of the application. What I'm going to ask you is whether or not you are willing to see the application be delayed so that it can be revised, in fact, or whether you would like to hear the application dealt with today as it stands on the notice. So that's going to be my question to you. Let's go then to the first registered speaker, please.
Hi, Nabil. Nabil, you've been unmuted on our end. You might have to unmute yourself.
Good morning.
Nabil Gouda, you've been unmuted.
Sorry, I don't have any comments. I'm just witnessing the meeting, but thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Okay. Next registered speaker, please.
Yes, I would agree with the
One moment,
deferral
please.
for now.
Just a second, please. Please state your name, please.
Dan Greenstein.
Good morning.
Morning.
So Dan, would you be willing to see the application deferred in order that it can be revised?
Yes, would I be able to add a comment to that, though?
Go ahead.
Just that I understand in the event that the same adjudicators are on the next committee when it comes up again, that the front porch setback, even if it is considered an open porch, I believe the application would still be requesting to build on top of that non-enclosed porch, so it would still raise setback issues in my perspective.
Okay, that's fine. But and I can't guarantee it will be the same panel. But I let you make the comment. Thank you. I do appreciate or value your answer. So you are open to seeing the application deferred for revision. We'll see what shape it comes out in. It'll have to be recirculated and so on. So you'll get a chance to see what it looks like. And I'm going to go back now to the panel to deal with this matter of deferral. So panel, we have one speaker who is willing to see it deferred. The applicant has requested deferral. It's really now in the hands, we'll take it into committee. It's now in the hands of the panel. Go ahead, Ms. Hayes.
Thank you. For the reasons I initially stated in the conversation, and to allow, out of fairness to the applicant, to ensure that we are clear and the committee is judging the application on what his intent is versus what we might think their intent is, and the comments from the planning department, I think it would serve all purposes for the matter to be deferred so that the applicant and then by extension the committee can be clear on what it's assessing. So I would like to move a motion to defer the application.
Motion to defer. Is there a second to that motion? There is. Ms. Valentini. So moved and seconded to defer. All those in favor, show of hands, please. Those opposed. And let the record show that Mr. Salomon is opposed to the deferral. The motion is carried. The application is thereby deferred, and the panel moves along to number 11. (540) Gladstone Avenue. On this application we have before us the applicant's materials, covering letter from the owners, January 4, a revised site plan, Jan 7, email correspondence from the agent, Jan 7. There's a staff report from Urban Forestry. There's correspondence in support, 559 Gladstone Ave. There's correspondence in opposition, 534A and 536 Gladstone Ave. And I'll just check with the moderator. Moderator, do we have a speaker standing by, registered to speak in opposition? Okay. Okay, I'll ask the applicant please to join us now.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Stefan Hugo. I'm the agent for 540 Gladstone Avenue.
Good morning, Stefan. You have 5 minutes to present your application to the panel. Go ahead, please.
So yes, it's currently 540 Gladstone Avenue is currently a 1.5-story building. It's proposed to take that half story off. It's a kind of a bungalow style building with a hip roof. The addition will be, after taking off the roof, there will be a second story and a third story on the main building. And then there will be an addition which has 2 stories and a rooftop a roof deck on top. The purpose of the building is actually an extended family moving in there. We're proposing 6 bedrooms, which is the minimum size we need. There's going to be a married couple with the kids, and then the respective grandparents, and another family member supposed to be moving into this new residence. In terms of the height, allowed is 12 meters. We are way beyond that. However, the side wall is a little bit over, and that's one of the variances that we have. We have also a basement there, which is existing as a basement front entrance, which is already there, which is supposed to stay there and stay there mainly the way it is. However, the proposal is to underpin the basement. That means we have to extend that basement stair a little bit to the side, but it will not affect the front yard. There have been, so with regard to this basement entrance, we have 2 variances. it is not really possible to not have the basement entrance at the front because the right of way is so narrow that it's really hard to get through and access the basement from the rear. There also seem to be many precedents in the neighborhood that basement front entrances are fairly common in the area. These were the first two variances. The third variance is the permitted maximum height. I already mentioned that. The overall building height is way less than 12 meters, which would be allowed, but then the side wall is 9.5 and it's slightly extended by a couple of inches. This is the third variance that we're asking for. Fourth variance would be the permitted maximum floor space index. It's unfortunately not possible within the existing 0.6 or 0.69 to accommodate a large family like this with 6 bedrooms. Therefore, we are requesting this variance. There's also at 50 Bartlett and 52 Bartlett, there was a major development with a 3-story building that had a 2.3, I think, 2.3 placement, which is basically across the street. This was also attached to new laneway housing, and it seemed to us that the city allowed this densification, and we think that this densification going from 0.6 or 0.69 to 1.04 is within the limits of the neighborhood. Fifth variance would be the side yard setbacks. As of right, the ground floor would be able to extend within this encroachment in the side yard setback. However, on the second floor, we have planned the sidewalls flush with the exterior of the ground floor walls. However, it is a variance on the second and third floor. So we are actually proposing to extend the existing ground floor walls as they are right now. There's a 6th variance which has to do with utility. That may not be necessary to have it. It's about wall-mounted vents, pipes, utility equipment that encroaches in there. So we will be able to accommodate these without encroaching into the side yard setbacks.
Okay, then let me ask you then, officially then, are you removing variance number 6 from your proposal as of now?
I wasn't 100% sure what it meant, to be honest. I think we can remove it, yes. I don't know what utility equipment means, because there was not really, unless there's something existing, there was nothing planned. It could be the rainwater leaders, but we will be able to allocate them that they will not be in the side yard.
Okay, so we're going to treat the application without minor variance number 6, it having been removed by you now. Okay, thank you. Let's go to the registered speakers.
Mr. Chair, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just had a quick question,
go ahead.
if that's okay. Just because we have late plans that were received, and I wasn't clear as to what had changed. Was it just a parking spot was added, or what are we looking at with the revised plans? Because I also noticed there's confirmation that they don't trigger any new variances, so.
Was accidental. There is actually an existing legal front yard, a licensed front yard parking pad spot, which was accidentally omitted in the first submission, but it hadn't triggered a variance anyway, so it's now in there, and we're confident will not trigger a variance.
So nothing else has changed in terms of the built form, because I do notice some bubbling at the back. I just want to make sure.
No, you're absolutely right.
It's hard to compare the two plans, so I just wanted your confirmation. Yeah.
Yes, that's a confirmation. It says R1, which is revision, and the other ones in the triangle are actually the variances. The other bubbles are the variances, so they have not changed. It's just additional information.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Salomon, go ahead.
Chair, could I just ask one other question for
Mr.
clarification?
Salomon, Ms. Hayes? Ms. Hayes?
Just with respect,
Ms.
I was
Hayes?
just with respect to the variance he's saying he's removing. So none of the vent pipes from HVAC equipment or anything are applicable to that variance? I just want to make sure that he really doesn't need that variance to be considered.
Applicant?
Well, I can't really speak for any technical things that come up during building permit. It's currently not planned to have anything in there. The understanding is that it's so narrow anyway that it would not really make sense to add to that, to add to whatever is between those side walls. Unless there is, I mean, I understand there are encroachment that are within the zoning that are technical if they're required. I do frankly not know what the zoning notice pointed out there. The only idea I had was that it was the rainwater leaders, and these ones we can accommodate, that they're not in the side yard setbacks.
That's fine. I just wanted to be certain that you were certain.
Okay.
Mr. Salmon, go ahead, please.
Yeah, you are proposing a lot of bedrooms that are being shown on the plans. I just want to clarify, how many units are being proposed in this building?
It is a single-family dwelling in that respect that it is one unit. There will be 3 families which are all in the same family will be living in this building, and there will be a separate basement unit.
Okay, so is there a secondary suite in the basement with its own entrance then?
Yes, there is. And
then how many other entrances to this building are being proposed?
That's actually only the basement entrance from the front and the ground floor entrance from the front, and the ground floor will then access the second and third floor. So this is one unit. First, second, and third is one unit. Basement is one unit. The reason why we proposed a walkout in the back is actually it's supposed to be an exit, because it will be really hard to get basement exits to the sides where the bedrooms are in the basement, because we cannot put exit windows in there because it's too narrow. So the only way we can have a proper exit is actually to the back of the building. And that's why that basement entrance in the back is there. The basement is one unit.
Okay, thank you.
Okay then. Thanks for those questions to the applicant. Let's go now to hear from the registered speaker standing by. If you'll join us, please, by stating your name.
Hi, my name is Greg Marlagutos.
Good afternoon, or good morning, Greg. Greg, you have 5 minutes
Morning.
to address your concerns to the panel. Go ahead.
Okay, good morning. So I am speaking on behalf of my parents and I. We reside at 536 Gladstone Avenue, the house directly adjacent to the south of 540. We've resided here for nearly 40 years, and I'm here this morning to object to the current proposal. Up until 2 days ago, the owners did not make any effort to communicate any of their plans to us. There are a few variances we disagree with. The most significant is variance 4, the floor space index. As of right, it currently stands at 146.2 square meters. The maximum allowed is 192, a difference of 46 square meters. The proposed is 331.88 square meters, a difference of 139.75, which is nearly the equivalent of what the FSI currently stands at. This proposal is 1.04 times greater than the permitted bylaw of 0.6, which is significantly larger and we believe should not be considered minor. In the supporting document, 5052 Bartlett is listed as having a decision of 2.4 times the FSI. However, this was already an established industrial building that was converted into a 16-unit condo. We don't feel that these two should be weighed in the same manner. Application 662 Gladstone Avenue was refused with an FSI of 0.8 times 195 square meters. And similarly at 582 Ossington, it was refused with an FSI of 0.95 and 225.9 square meters. We feel these are more accurate to comparison of 540, and they're all within Ward 9. Variance number 3 is another issue we have with the height proposed. Although it may fall under the category of a minor variance, constructing at this height would effectively close off 3 windows on the second floor and a large window in the attic, which is where I've resided for the past 30 years. The window in the attic is a major concern. This window brings in a vast amount of light and airflow. Since the pandemic, I've not gone out very much for fear of contracting and affecting my parents who are elderly and more susceptible. So the majority of my time is spent in my room in the attic. This is where I work from since COVID protocols have made it mandatory for us to work from home 100% of the time. The size of the attic window is 52 inches by 56 inches, as seen in figures 1.9 and 1.10 of what I've submitted. Now my bed, I can see like the west horizon, the northwest horizon, and I've seen some amazing sunsets, and having this blocked by a building and closing off natural light and air would be heartbreaking. We've all experienced loss and devastating effects, and I feel these factors affect quality of life and mental health, and they matter. Variance number 5 is a proposal to build in the back. We feel that it poses privacy concerns, as my parents enjoy gardening and relaxing in the backyard, and having the deck overlook this at 0.62 meters from the property line feels like a breach of privacy. In regards to variance 1 and 2, there was an existing parking space that had been left out of the site plans originally, and we were informed this would cause an issue with the proposed basement walkout, as well as parking on the street, the amount of cars that the owners have. Now, the owners have never lived on the property since purchasing it, and to us, this is very concerning with the intentions of the building. Since the property was purchased either 2017 or 2018, it was renovated and strictly acted as an Airbnb, and during that time, the property was largely neglected and rarely maintained, which reflected poorly in the neighborhood. We have had random strangers walking through the shared path, and that has made my parents and I feel unsafe and uncomfortable. In the summer of 2020, it was once again renovated with construction in the basement and tons of trash left for months in the backyard, seen in figure 1.2. It was converted to a long-term rental, and to our count, it is currently occupied by 8 to 10 adults, which is far more than 3 generations that would occupy this space. Some of these tenants have been very careless too. They've been firing guns in the pellet guns in the backyard, as well as holding large outdoor bonfires at night. With all the renovations done, we do not see necessity for this or see any hardship for this. We do not feel that this is desirable or an appropriate proposal. I've spoken with several members in the neighborhood, several of the owners who are opposed to this as well. However, due to the timing of the hearing and the holidays leading up to it, they were unable to either attend or submit an objection. I'd also like to note that 542 Gladstone Avenue is the house adjacent to the north of 540 is an unoccupied house. It is owned by Toronto Hydro.
I'm going to ask you now.
Voice for this matter.
I'm going to ask you now to make your final comments, please.
Simply too large, and it needs to be looked at closer. We appreciate you listening to our concerns, and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Panel members, questions for the speaker? No. Let's go back then to the applicant with the applicant's opportunity to rebut those particular matters as raised by the speaker.
So yeah, I would like to Gladstone, I looked up that decision, and it was indeed refused, but it wasn't refused because of the floor space area. It was refused of the lack of landscaping, as far as I understand. So the low percent of landscaping and the building depth. So it was not refused because of the building space index. The other thing with Bartlett is it may have been an industrial site, but if I look at the effect it has on the neighborhood, there's at least a dozen properties on Bartlett and a dozen properties on Gladstone, which privacy is very much restricted now because they're looking into this laneway development. My understanding is, and I don't know the case completely, but my understanding is the city approved that with a 2.4 floor space index, also knowing that it is a proximity to Bloor Street as well, and we need identification in the city, and ours is still considering the purpose, the minimum size that we need. The window blocking, that is understandable, but at this point, the neighbors are benefiting from the fact that we have a 1.5-story building. And he has the view, but if our building was like his, he wouldn't have the view either. So it's understandable. We can certainly work with fenestration there and make sure that there is no privacy issue. But on the other hand, there's really nothing we can do because those buildings are just very close together. The parking was omitted accidentally. I think we talked about that. So there will be no conflict between the basement walkout and the parking as it is. There will be no changes to the front yard. With regards to the current property use, I can't say much about that. However, I will say that if a family moves in, a 3-generation family, that will eliminate the issue with tenants as they were, if there were issues in the past. That will eliminate them because the owners will actually live on the property, and whoever rents the basement rental will be basically under the supervision of the landlord. So there shouldn't be any future issues with tenants anymore.
Thank you very much. Panel members, questions for the applicant? Mr. Solomon, go ahead, please.
Yeah, so the applicant, you keep saying that it's going to be a multi-generational family moving here, that it's not going to be a 3-unit rental. It's going to be a 2-unit, one in the basement. And I just want to clarify that then the actual owners of this building will be this multi-generational family that will be living here. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Question, Ms. Valentini, go ahead.
Thank you. I'm just looking at the variances here. Can you, I know you touched upon it and so did the neighbor, in terms of the FSI, because I feel like this is a larger dwelling compared to, the proposal is larger than compared to the adjacent neighbors, particularly in terms of the depth. I don't think you're in length. You're not asking for variance for that, but you are asking for an FSI variance. And you have, I was just looking through materials, you pointed out the development on Boilermaker Lane. I think that's the right name. Are there other ones in the area? Have you provided other FSI increases in the area or to show that this is in keeping? Because looking at the plans, I think it looks larger, but I could be wrong.
You mean 540 Gladstone looks larger?
Yes, it definitely looks larger than the adjacent neighbors in terms of the length of it and the massing, I would say. And I think that speaks to the FSI. So I'd like to know, what is the FSI generally in the neighborhood? Did you provide that for us in the materials? You did give the one example of the laneway housing. Apart from that, what else is there that has similar FSI?
Well, what I can say for sure is that most properties out there are 2.5 stories. Ours is, you can call it 3-story, 2.5, because the 3rd floor is set back. So just looking at the location plan that the city actually provided, you can see that the depth will be maybe in keeping with, let's say, 132 Gladstone, for example, or with 514 Gladstone. So I think the building depth per se is absolutely in keeping with the neighborhood, and also the 2.5 stories are in keeping with the neighborhood. If the exact number of 1.04 is in keeping, I can say that absolutely, but I think that most of the, I know 0.6 or 0.69 is the general floor space index here, but I'm quite confident to say that probably most properties are probably around the 0.8 and 0.9 area there. We also have to look at, there are semi-detached on the other side, but I wouldn't see Boilermaker Lane and Broadwood Avenue as a minor precedent, because it affects a lot of properties, and in a way that our proposal would not affect the neighbors. Like, we're not looking in somebody's backyard. We do not have that massive. There will still be one family living in there, so the rental will be limited to the basement unit, which is fairly common in that neighborhood. We don't have that many tenants in the backyard that Boilermaker Lane would produce, so plus not the encroachment on privacy. It is just, if you look at the location plan, it shows the current building with a deck, and from the deck we're only going out around 4 feet after that. So we're basically only a little bit deeper than 536 Gladstone Avenue. So I don't see that why it wouldn't be in keeping with what I see just looking at the site plan and the height of the streetscape there.
Okay, I mean, you're just adding quite a bit. I understand right now the FSI is under. I was looking at the numbers and I've noted here it's existing at 146.2 meters square, which is under the 0.6 FSI, but it's going up to 331.88 meters square. So you're adding a significant amount to the existing property, and I just wanted to get a sense of how other properties in the area compare, apart from the laneway housing, just the rest of the residences in the neighborhood and on the street, how that compares. I appreciate you're not asking for a depth or length variance, but you are asking for the FSI variance with a number of balconies. So that was the reason I asked that question.
Okay. Yes. If
Okay.
you
No,
want,
you've answered the
you can look
question.
at the supporting material, and there's actually a picture of 50 and 52 Bartlett. It's
No.
on page
Oh.
8 of 12.
Yep.
It's in supporting material that shows the presidents there, which is it's under height, but I don't know if we can pull it up there. But this seems to be a 3-story building there that seems to actually have higher ceiling heights, and it adds up to a height of 12 meters. This building, and it goes, and I know it has a back lane on one side, but on the other side it has a residential building. It is almost 2 meters
Sorry,
high, it seems.
page 12, you said 534
8 of 12,
Gladstone?
and the supporting documents, page
Yes,
8 of
but
12.
it's 534 Gladstone, just so I know which one I'm trying to find the picture. I found it, but is that the one? Yeah.
No, that is 5052 Bartlett. This is the entrance to the.
Just hang on a
to the
second.
lane development. So we're not talking only about the lane development.
Just
we're
hang
also
on while we see if we can pull that up.
building that has been built there as the entrance gate, I guess. If you look at that with regards to the neighbor, that is significant. We're not even remotely going there. We're far beyond the density there, and we're also far beyond the height there. And this seems to be a much denser precedent that ours would pose there. I mean, we have
Okay,
to allow.
excuse me,
we have to-
excuse
I
me,
think- yeah, sorry,
excuse
go ahead.
me, applicant. Yeah, we've been trying to pull up that, but we're not able to locate it, unfortunately.
Yeah, sorry, are we looking for supporting material with photos?
Is it photos?
Supporting documents.
Okay, I don't really have supporting documents. I have a cover letter.
Yeah. Okay, unfortunately, we're not able to.
Yeah, so there's a couple of precedents that are regarding the basement entrance, just to show that is the situation there, and at 540 Gladstone, all we have to do is make the stair longer to get into.
No, we're talking now. We're talking about FSI. Let's stick to FSI.
Okay, let's go to number 8 then, please. Page 8. Yes, so this is the so this is Boilermaker Lane. So this is 50 and 52 Bartlett. And we can see that, I know from the staff report that I looked up, that the height was there 11.88, so very close to the limit of 12 meters, and the sidewall is certainly much higher than 9.5 meters. It seems to me like those ceiling heights are 9 or even 10 feet. I'm not sure about that, but they seem to be higher, just because the 3-story adds up to such a high building. We're not proposing that. We're only proposing a 9-foot ceiling on the ground floor and 8-foot ceiling on the 2nd and 3rd floor.
Thank you very much.
I'm sorry?
Thank you very much. Okay. Any further questions, panel, of the applicant? Mr. Cheng, go ahead.
I just want you to clarify again the necessary of the front staircase going down to the basement. Why do you need a front entrance at the front and another entrance at the back for one single unit?
So just to clarify, the front basement entrance is already there. All we need to do is extend it, because the intention is to gain another foot in the basement and underpin it. So we need to extend the length. It is already there. The width will not be extended. It will not affect the front yard parking. So the reason why it can't be at the back is, if you look at the pictures, it's that.
Let's pull the picture up. Just hold on for a moment while we get the picture.
Well, I think your back has sufficient space. You're proposing a back staircase, right?
That is correct. But if you look at page 2 of 12, which is this one, just the bottom picture, not the front picture, but the bottom, the one a little. So this is how you would have to access that. So it is a mutual. It is mutual here, but it is, you see two bay windows, one from the neighbor of 436 and one from the actual property.
If it is so difficult to go to the back, then why would you add a staircase at the back?
The reason why I added this is because it's so narrow, and we have to provide eventually, as per OBC, exits, a secondary exit for the unit.
You don't have to. It's one single unit.
No, sorry, the basement is one unit.
That's right, one single unit for that, right? That's my ultimate question. Why do you need two staircases, two exit for one single unit with direct exit to the outside of the building?
Because my understanding is that you need a secondary exit, and we cannot have it to the side because the side is so narrow.
As an architect, I'm not going to argue with you about building code. I just want to know where you're coming from, and now I get it. Thank you.
A question for the applicant. What we're looking at right now, that's the side, correct?
I'm sorry, was that a question for me?
Here's my question. We're looking at a photograph now.
Yes.
That's the side of the dwelling, correct?
That's correct. That's between 540 and 536. That was a neighbor.
Thank you. Just a sec. And that's an entranceway that I'm looking at with a canopy over the top. Is that correct?
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
Okay, I'm looking at an entranceway on the side wall.
Yes.
Is that correct? Yes.
That's correct.
My next question is, where does that entranceway access? Does it access the basement unit or the main house?
It's an exit for the basement.
It's an exit. So will the basement in fact have 3 exits when the project is, if the project is approved?
No, there's only 2. You see the front that is bubbled, and then you see the back, which is really just an exit.
Okay, so that side entrance is closed off.
Yes.
Now I understand. Thank you. Okay. Any further questions of the applicant panel? Okay. In that case, we can take the application into committee for a decision. We can move to a motion unless there are any comments anyone would like to make in committee about the application. Ms. Valentini, go ahead.
I'll just start with my comments on the application. I'm still, I guess I have concerns about the proposed FSI. Often we do get, comparables, that kind of thing. It's hard for me to judge or assess the FSIs of other properties just based on their front elevation. So for me, it would have been helpful to figure out what the FSI is in context to the surrounding homes in the neighborhood. Looking at the site plan, I feel like this proposal is going to be a lot larger than the 2 adjacent neighbors in any event. That's where my uncertainty lies is in terms of the size. I mean, I did note here that this is going to be a 300 and plus square meter house, which is like over 3,600 square feet. So I have concerns about the size, and I can't properly assess how it fits in without any other numbers. So I won't be supporting the application. That's where I stand. I'm just not convinced.
Thank you. Mr. Solomon, go ahead.
Yeah, I would agree with those comments. I have concerns that this is an overdevelopment of the property. It's a big increase in GFA and in FSI. I also have concerns with privacy in the rear with the balconies and the roof terrace. And I'm also not clear as to how many entrances and actual units will be in here given the number of outside entrances into this building. So I am not at this, I can't support this proposal.
Thank you. Mr. Chen, go ahead.
Yeah, I have to agree with my colleagues. The GFA and the setup of the building potentially it's very hard to justify that this is a 3 generations family with a tenant. It's more like a 5 suites apartment to me. I think it's really, for me as an architect, I think there's a potential public safety issue here. I know I'm speculating, but even by just looking at the numbers and the scale, it is not appropriate. Therefore, I cannot agree with this application.
Thank you. Okay. Ms. Hayes, go ahead if you wish. Yeah.
I would just add to my colleagues' comments. I think the context of this lot being between 2 houses, the townhouses that have been built next to the laneway, you know, the height is higher on the laneway side than the other. I think, speaking to the gentleman at 536 in terms of the height, the variance being requested for height is really minor compared to what can be built as of right. So whatever may go there may change the characteristics of the window that he has enjoyed his view from. However, having said that, I think that the FSI for this property, without having heard in a contextual perspective of a similar context property in the neighborhood with the FSI being requested, and whether it's a 3-generational family with a 4-bedroom basement suite in addition to that, that is a high volume residence, and the impacts from that, given the variance that's being requested and the context of the property and the size of the property, I can't support the application.
Thank you. For my part, with what I've looked at on paper and what I've heard, I too don't see this as desirable development. It represents overbuild in my view. So I'll look to someone on panel, please, for a motion. Mr. Solomon, go ahead,
Lisa,
please.
go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'm going? Okay. For the reasons that I stated in terms of most specifically the FSI, I feel the FSI, I'm not convinced it's in keeping with the neighborhood. And for those reasons, I would like to bring forward a motion for refusal of the application.
Is there a second to that motion? It is seconded by Mr. Solomon. So moved and seconded to refuse the application. Those in favor of the motion, show of hands, please. And it is a unanimous vote to refuse the application. Sorry, it's unanimous vote to carry the motion. The application is thereby refused. And the panel moves along to item number 12. But first we're going to have a brief 10-minute recess, and we shall resume at 11:40. We'll resume at 11:40 on item number 12. Thank you. And we resume. We resume on item number 12, 12 GLENAYR Road. And on this application, the committee has before it the applicant's submitted materials, an arborist report from September, presentation materials from the agent, January the 5, and there is correspondence in opposition from 212 GLENAYR. Received the 4th of January and January the 6th. And moderator, just to confirm with you, do we have 2 speakers standing by? We do, okay. Very good. Let's have the agent join us, please, by stating your name.
Good morning. My name is Tay Rook, the planner for the owners of the property at 210 GLENAYR Road.
Good morning to you. You'll have 5 minutes now to present your application to the panel. Go ahead, please.
Sure. Before I start, just wanted to advise the committee, after discussions with Mr. Sadavoy at number 212 GLENAYR, my client has decided to eliminate variances number 2 and 3, which are related to the platforms proposed at the rear. So there will be only 2 variances before the committee, which are variances number 1 and 4.
Thank you for that. So 1 and 4 constitute the application. 2 and 3 are eliminated. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I just want to ask one quick question about item number 1. Is it really 79.9 times? I think it's a typo, right?
And you're correct. I saw that as well. It is not 79 times 0.9 times the area of the lot. It's 0.799, and you'll see that the FSI number is identified as 385.88 square meters. So I think it's just a typo.
We'll make that change then. The 79.9 becomes 7.99.
0.799.
0.799. Thank you. Very good.
Before you today, committee members, is a 0.799 times house at 385.88 square meters. You'll note that I had submitted a slide. It's called Area Context Map. And when you look at the area surrounding the subject site, there are properties that have been highlighted in green. And in that map, of the area context map, you'll also see numbers that have been highlighted. And on the same block, across the street and just north of the site, you have ranges in terms of 0.80, 0.9, 0.99, and all the properties that have been represented in green are those properties that are greater than 0.7 in terms of GFA or FSI. You'll also note that there is a second variance, variance number 4, related to the side yard setback on the north side. And that's related to, if you look at the presentation slide and on the site plan, you'll note that the existing building has been outlined in red in the dashed line. And you'll note that the proposed dwelling, with the exception of that small green, highlighted green area at the north, the majority of the house itself is at 1.2 meters. And so the subject of the 0.74 meter variance is related to that shaded green area. That you'll also note that the proposed side yard setback is much greater than what's existing on the property. If you look, and when you drive through this neighborhood, you'll also note that the side yard setbacks is one in which where majority of the dwellings in the area do not comply with the side yard setback, at least on one side. And you can see that on the site plan just to the south at 208 GLENAYR Road, where the side yard setbacks are not complied with at 1.2. And this is typical and characteristic of the neighborhood. Once again, variances 2 and 3 have been eliminated as a result of discussions with the neighbors at 212, and those will be eliminated. And I believe that this is a reasonable proposal, a minor variance application that warrants the support of committee. There have been no comments or opposition from city staff in any regard. And it does meet the 4 tests, and I believe this is a meritorious application. If there's any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Thank you very much. Questions, panel, at this stage for the applicant? Or shall we? Let's proceed down to the, there are two registered speakers. So we'll proceed to the first registered speaker, please.
Hi, Gary. You've been unmuted on our end. I'll try giving you a quick call to the phone number you provided. Hi, Gary. I think we can hear your phone ringing in the background.
Sorry, it's really hard to hear from the committee room, so you might want to restate what you just said. I don't know if callers can hear too.
Yes, we're just trying to call the first registered speaker to get them on, and having a little trouble. Why don't we, moderator, go to the second speaker, and you can continue to try to connect with the first. So we'll go to the second speaker and ask, is it Joel Sadavoy, to join us by stating your name, please.
Just don't have it here.
Hello? Hello?
Yes,
Mr.
hello.
Sadavoy seems
Yes.
to be unmuted, so.
Yes, hello. Can you hear me?
We do hear you. Please state your name.
Right, thank you. My name is Joel Sadavoy. I reside at 212 GLENAYR Road, and the concerns that we were going to raise with regard to the variances have now been clarified and responded to appropriately. We have no further comments, and we are pleased at the collegial and friendly relationship that we've been able to establish around this project.
Very good. It's always a good thing, and thank you for calling in. We have amended the application, in fact, in line with what the agent has directed us to do. Thank you. Okay, we'll go back now and see if we can connect with speaker number 1.
Connect. 5. Please leave your message after.
Okay, I think you've made
I'm wondering if the speaker can't hear the committee room. I do see on my screen there's a speaker named Gary McKay. Is that who you're trying to talk to?
That's the one we're trying to connect with now, yes.
Hi there, can you hear me?
We do hear you now. Is that Gary?
Yes, it is, thanks. And my interest was only in assisting Dr. Sadavoy with respect to the application. And I'm glad to hear that the platforms have been removed, and this seems to have ended very well. But I'm not really a registered speaker on this item. Thank you.
Thank you for calling in, and very good for the explanation. So, okay. There's really nothing for the agent to rebut in either of those conversations. So we can go to panel now. And panel, we are dealing with an amended application, as you know, and we can take it into committee and go ahead. Ms. Valentini, go ahead, please.
Thank you. Thank you from hearing from the neighbors and from the excellent presentation materials prepared by Mr. Ruck. It's very clear that the proposal, based on the variances requested will fit in with the context of the neighborhood, particularly with respect to the FSI and the setbacks. It's been very clearly set out in the presentation materials. It's also nice to see applicants working with neighbors and coming to a resolution so that all parties are happy, and that happened in this case, and that's great with the removal of the variances for the balconies. So on that basis, I would like to bring a motion forward for approval of the application as amended. And I don't see any conditions, so without conditions.
Sorry,
very much.
sorry, through you, Mr. Chair, staff will also make changes to the purpose of application that reflects the removal of the variances.
Very good. So what did the impact of that? That was the Deputy Secretary Treasurer speaking panel, and we're going to also amend the purpose of the application wording to reflect the elimination of variances 2 and 3, so that it all fits together. Very good. Okay, so there is a motion to approve as amended, and that motion is seconded by Ms. Hayes. Moved and seconded to approve as amended. Those in favor, show of hands, please. And the motion is carried. The application is so approved. Thank you. Panel moves along to item number 13, 38 Tiverton. And on 38 Tiverton, the panel has before it the applicant's materials, a Committee of Adjustment decision from 2018 which affects the property. There is correspondence from City Planning, and there is support. 21 form letters in support, signed by the owners or occupants of 26, 28, 30, 32, 36, 40, 50, 52, 53, 57, 59, 63, 64, 67, 68, 75, 79 Tiverton, and 31, 33, 35, 37 West Avenue. So 21 form letters in total in support. We'll go now to the agent and ask the agent to join us, please, by stating your name.
Hello, my name is Tyler Walker, applicant of 38 Tiverton.
Okay, good morning, Tyler. You're a little bit faint. We do hear you, but your voice is slightly faint. But anyway, glad to have you with us. I'm going to check now with my colleagues on the panel to see if anyone would like a presentation or whether anyone has a question for you. Panel members? I'm not hearing any. So in that case, we can take this application into committee for a decision, please. Ms. Hayes, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Having reviewed the materials on file, I believe that the 2 variances being requested are indeed minor and are not out of character with the surrounding neighborhood. I would move a motion to approve the application subject to the comments of the planning department. They did not specify a specific plan, but I think if we attached it to the site plan drawing, that would be sufficient to reflect the intent of the comments of planning, and that would be my motion.
Thank you very much. Yes, those comments related to minor variance number 3. So move to approve. There is a second? Mr. Solomon, second.
Sorry, can I just have a comment? I note that there is no variance number 3. I think it should refer to variance number 1, which is the FSI.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Okay. So we do have a motion that needs a seconder to proceed. Is there a second? There is a second, Mr. Solomon. Okay. Moved and seconded to approve subject to planning. Those in favor, show of hands, please. And that motion is carried. Unanimous vote. The application is approved. The panel moves along to item number 14, 52 ARDAGH. And on 52 ARDAGH, the materials before us are the application materials. There is a list of comparable FSIs submitted by the agent January the 5th. And in support, there are 7 form letters. These are signed by owners or occupants of 42, 43, 45, 50, 51, 55, ARDAGH, and 59 McGregor Ave. So we'll ask the agent on number 14 to join us, please, by stating your name.
My name is Sandy Smith at 10 Overdale Road, and I am the agent.
Very good, thank you very much. We have one person registered, but that person is an observer only. So, panel members, do we have any questions for this agent? Or would anyone like a presentation? No, there's no question for that. Okay, Sandy, is there any one thing you'd like the panel to know about? We don't require a presentation, but any one thing about your application you'd like us to know?
One thing I want you to know is that there's many precedents in the neighborhood with similar FSIs that have been approved. And we think this addition is within keeping with the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Okay then. We can take this application into committee for a decision and for a motion. Ms. Valentini, go ahead.
Thank you. I've reviewed all the materials, and there's been information given by the agent in terms of the comparables, in terms of the FSI. And in my view, this is in keeping with what is currently existing in the neighborhood. As well, it's evident from the plans that the rear two-story addition is going to be similar in depth, not exactly the same as adjacent properties. So I don't feel there'll be any negative impact, and I think, in my view, it meets the 4 tests. On that basis, I'd like to bring forward a motion for approval without any conditions.
Thank you. Is there a second? Mr. Cheng, seconds. It is moved and seconded to approve without condition. Those in favor, show of hands, please. Motion carried, unanimous vote. The application is so approved. Thank you. Item number 15 deals with 24 Nassau Street. Submission materials are before us. There is an order to comply affecting the subject property from June 2021. There is a commenting report from City Planning, Heritage Preservation, and there is opposition from 30 Nassau in the form of 2 letters, one from Vincent Chan, one from Bik Ko Mabel Chan, and another from 38 Nassau, Aliv Chan. Now, just to confirm, moderator, we have no one registered on this to speak. Okay. There are no registered opposition speakers. So we'll ask the agent to join us, please, by stating your name.
Good morning. My name's Tony Henriquez. I'm the applicant for this application.
Good morning to you. Okay. Any questions, panel members, for this applicant? Any request for a presentation?
Yeah, can the applicant just explain how it came to be that this one-story addition at the rear already built?
Yes, basically, my client did start the process prior to applying for a building permit. They don't speak very well English, and they just thought that because they were just creating a one-story addition with no basement, nothing, they thought that they could do it. They didn't understand. Their English, like I said, is very poor. I communicate through them, through their daughter. So I see it, it's very difficult for them to go through this process without knowing, but they are learning a hard lesson the hard way.
Okay, are you familiar with the letters of opposition that the committee received, with the contents of those?
Yes, I have read them. Basically, there's 3 letters. It's funny that the last name is all the same and 2 of them are from the same address. But basically, I don't see anywhere where they have any concerns regarding our variance, which is the length. They seem to be against all kinds of things except the variance that we're asking. And basically, both of those houses are actually longer than we are. And even with our proposed addition, there's still a lot of houses on this side that are actually longer. And most of them are 2 stories, opposed to we're only proposing a 1 story. And in fact, we're not much longer than both our adjacent neighbors. We're just set further back.
Thank you very much.
And if I can just clarify, are there any windows on the 2 sides of the addition?
No, just going to confirm that, but they're the only windows we have is a window to the back and a door to the back. No windows to any of the sides.
Thank you.
Further questions, Ms. Hayes, go ahead.
Can you, I do note and acknowledge that the property in question is set back further than the other properties. What is the depth of the property beside yours?
I can't actually go onto their property and measure it, so I just used what's shown on the survey, and it seems to be, if you look at the site plan, it's pretty close to what we have.
Yeah, that was what I was wondering. I didn't know what 22, I wondered what the depth of, how much further back is your 1-story addition from the rear of 22, which is the deeper of the 2 neighbors?
That one I can just check here.
Applicant, are you working on a response to that?
I think he's just checking. Are you just checking?
We're approximately 6'10".
Thank you. Just one further question. The plans don't show a walkout from that 2nd-story rear bedroom. Is there any intention that you are going to put a platform or a balcony on top of that 1-story addition?
No, the only purpose of this addition is to accommodate a larger eating area for the kitchen. Basically, the owners here, they live with their daughter and they live with their elderly parents, and it's pretty tight for them to sit in that kitchen, so they're just going to expand the kitchen. That's the only purpose of this addition.
Thank you.
Any further questions for the applicant? Okay, in these situations where the committee is being asked to look at development that has already taken place after the fact, the panel looks at it in this frame of reference. We have to look at it as if the development had not been built. We have to look at it from the point of view of if we were receiving this application as an application, drawings on paper, would it meet the 4 tests or not? So that's how we'll be looking at the application as we move to come to a decision on it. Mr. Cheng, go ahead.
Just want to add a comment to my colleagues that if we're going to approve this application and to solve Ms. Hayes' question, we should say the application should be tied to the drawings. In that case, then the building department will not allow any fences or live load on the roof on top of the ground floor.
Okay, so that's a good idea. We can, is there any particular drawing you'd want to see it tied to that would really protect what our decision was intended to do, to approve?
Probably one of the side elevation drawings, would suffice, like maybe number 7, side elevation east.
Okay. Very good. We can tie it to east and west side if you like.
I think one's probably okay, but
okay.
Intent, but I don't know. We haven't made a decision yet, but that might be the drawing.
We have not made a decision yet. Okay. If there are no further questions for the applicant, then let's take the application into committee for a decision, or any comments. If anyone has a comment they wish to make in advance, but we can hear that, or we can move to a motion. Up to you, panel. Any comments? Mr. Salomon, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I think that the variance is minor in nature. There is only the one variance, and it's really given the context of this site and the location of the building. The existing building is set further back from the front than the adjacent houses, and its actual total length appears to be in context and similar to the adjacent ones. So I would move approval, subject to condition of tying it to I guess it was east elevation drawing number 7.
Very good. Is there a second to that motion? Yes, Ms. Hayes seconds. So moved and seconded to approve the application, tied to the condition that it be tied to the east side elevation drawing number 7 in the package. All those in favor, show of hands, please. Unanimous vote to carry the motion. The application is so approved. Thank you. Panel moves on to number 16. 126R Wiltshire Avenue. Before us, the only materials are the applicant's submission materials and presentation materials from the agent dated or received January the 5th. Let's ask the agent to join us, please, by stating your name.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Franco Romano here on behalf of the owner.
Good afternoon to you. Panel members, any request for a presentation or any questions of the agent? I'm going to ask you something, Mr. Romano. If you could explain kind of the layout of the property to us. There's a very long, narrow access right of way. Perhaps we could put up the site plan, and if you could just give me a quick explanation of the property to us, please.
Certainly. If my presentation slide can come up on the screen, you'll see the subject site. The surveys. Sorry, the site plan is located in the upper right, and you'll see that the subject site is outlined in a red box, and that red box is 126R Wiltshire. It is a lot onto itself. It is a lot of record. It has a detached garage upon it. The detached garage upon it is similar to what this rhombus shaped lot is like, and that is that the garage is tilting. So the garage is to be replaced by a new garage. And you'll see that the green that I'm showing on both the site plan and on the air photo is the right-of-way access from Davenport Road that provides for vehicular and pedestrian access from the public realm, Davenport Road, to that property, 126R Wiltshire, and the detached garage.
Okay, it's such an unusual situation. So that entire right-of-way, and it stretches for about 8 properties or something, that is a right-of-way access to 126R.
It does provide right-of-way access to 126R, yes, sir.
And to no other properties.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the...
Pardon me. And it provides access to only 126R, and to no other properties.
No, I would imagine that it provides access to the adjoining properties as well, but the only deed that I have that shows a right-of-way access is for the 1848 Davenport Road. I do not have the deed for other properties that would likely also have access along that right-of-way.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Panel, any other questions? In that case, we can take the application into committee for a decision, please. Ms. Hayes, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We had a similar type of application a couple of hearings ago, or last hearing, where the parking space or the creation of the building was not immediately adjacent to the property for which the parking space was going to be provided. Took us a minute to wrap our head around that, but it's not an unusual circumstance. The variances being requested in the context of the situation, I think, are indeed minor, and I would make a motion to approve the application with no conditions.
Thank you. Is there a second to that? It is seconded by Ms. Valentini. So moved and seconded to approve. Those in favor, show of hands, please. Vote is carried unanimously, motion is carried unanimously, and the application is so approved. Thank you. Number 17 is 41 Marlborough Avenue. The only materials before the panel are the materials submitted with the application. Plan of survey, site plan, floor plans, and elevations. And on this application, we'll ask the agent to join us, please, by stating your name.
I'm Michael Scott. I'm the architect and the agent for the owner.
Good day. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Okay. Panel members, any questions for the agent? Agent, is there any one thing about your application you'd like us to know? We don't really need a presentation, but if there's one thing that stands out, let us know, please.
Just that we did our very best to make it as low profile as possible to avoid impact on the rear roofs of the neighboring properties, and that there are a number of other full 3-story properties in the immediate area.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, panel. Let's take it into committee then for a motion. Ms. Valentini, go ahead, please.
Thank you. Looking at the materials prepared, the proposed it's recapturing of the attic space and making it habitable and adding what I understand to be dormers or a bit of a back extension. It's over the existing footprint, and I agree with what the agent has said in terms of making it minimal impact to the neighbors in terms of the profile and how it's designed. I did also note that this is a variance for FSI, and the current FSI is already well over the 0.6 is over. So I think this additional space is not going to, large part of it's within the current footprint. So it's all within the current footprint. So I don't think it's going to have impact on the neighbors. In that case, I'd like to bring forward a motion for approval. In my view, it meets the 4 tests and there are no conditions.
Thank you. Anyone to second that motion? Yes, it is seconded by Ms. Hayes. It is moved and seconded to approve. Panel to vote. Show of hands, please. Unanimous vote in favor of the application. The motion's carried. The application is approved. Thank you. Number 18 is 36 Fenwick Avenue. We've got the submission materials here. We have an arborist report from September. There are 3 photographs of neighboring properties, January the 10th. A staff report from Urban Forestry. There is correspondence in support, 26 Fenwick Ave. And there is correspondence in opposition from 34 Fenwick and 38 Fenwick. So, we'll ask the agent now to join us, please, by stating your name.
Hello, I'm Trevor Keir. I'm the authorized agent for the owners Paul and Jenny Guest of 36 Fenwick Avenue.
Thank you very much. Okay. Trevor, you do have 5 minutes to make your presentation to the panel. Please go ahead.
Mr. Chair, I'm sorry to interrupt. It's, one thing I did note, and if the agent could speak to it or staff, is there a variance for coverage in this case? I look like there was in some of the materials, but I don't see it on the notice. So
no, there's not. It's just the one variance for FSI.
There's not a coverage variance. Okay, because I thought I saw that in the materials. Thank you.
Yes, I know. Yeah. We're asking for relief from the applicable bylaws shown in the review to build a 2-story rear addition to an existing 2-story semi-detached house. An existing 9.27 square meter 1-story addition is to be demolished. The purpose of the addition is to add a small, small home office, make a 2nd floor washroom functional, and add a small family room to the ground floor so their growing family can continue to live here. We have one citywide zoning issue. It's the FSI. We are allowed 0.69. We're asking for 0.71, which is just an additional 4.33 square meters. There are no other variances, and this one has occurred because we do not want to build across the full width of the rear wall, of the main rear wall of the house, which would block light from the neighbor to the south at 34. But at the same time, we need to use the allowable length to have a modest 3.8 meter by 3.3 meter family room, which is very modest. It's 12.5 feet by 11. It's a very typical addition to the family homes in the neighborhood. There's no length, depth, or soft landscaping variances required. There were a couple letters of opposition. I just want to respond to them quickly. One is, both of them seem to have a common theme of opposition to the addition just in general, rather than to a specific variance. In fact, this addition is within all the zoning bylaws with the exception of a 0.02 change in the FSI. The letter from 34 has concerns about the willow tree in the backyard, and we have an arborist report that's addressed this. We have tree protection zones, we have tree protection, and we are not excavating in this. We're using helical piles for the addition, so there's actually no excavation for the addition. There were a couple of issues that I don't think are really the purview of the committee, but I'll still address them. I want to say that the contractor is available anytime to discuss the concerns about the attached rear porch and to assure the neighbor that the structure will be undamaged and that there will be no negative consequences to their structure due to the addition. The new addition sits completely on the subject property and the existing structure and all finishes will be made good. The issue of sunlight has been addressed in the design of the addition by not asking for extra length or depth and keeping the addition back from the south existing setback. The distance from the addition wall to the side wall of the window at 34 is 3.26 meters, which is extremely generous in a dense Toronto neighborhood. The owner has even offered to build a greenhouse for the neighbor on the north side. Our distance to the rear property line is 12.58 meters, where we are not asking for a length variance. I know that that was brought up in the letters, but we are within our limit, and there are other properties on the street that do extend back this far, even though the letters state that there are not. And there has been some past construction on the property upon purchase to bring it up to code. There was rewiring done through the whole house required by insurance. There was a bathroom that had to be a rental that had to be undone just to fit a bed into the one bedroom on the second floor. And the owners did live in the house through the construction, except for 3 weeks for the electrical and during spray foaming. And again, the contractor is available to alleviate any concerns the neighbors have about the construction. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Okay. Let's go then to the registered speaker standing by to speak in opposition, and ask that speaker to join us, please, by stating your name.
Can you hear me?
We do hear you. You're a little bit faint, so stay close to the microphone, please.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Nora Dixon. I'm the resident and homeowner of 34 Fenwick Avenue, immediately south of 36th Avenue, Fenwick Avenue, and I'm speaking on behalf of myself and my children. I also know that my neighbor immediately north at 36 at 38 was unable to attend the meeting today, but made a submission to the committee given that he has a shared wall and has significant concerns. My concern with the proposed addition are detailed in my letter of objection, but to summarize, my children and I have experienced a significant loss in the last 18 months, which has impacted our mental health and well-being. The proposed 13-foot addition extends to nearly half of our backyard lengths and would constitute a significant blockage of natural light to the entire back of our house. Most significantly, light will be greatly diminished in our kitchen, where we do most of our living, and as well to the 2 setback windows on the north side of my house, one of which is a bedroom. The blocking of light will cause a further negative impact on our health and well-being. I have attached a review of a study, a review of studies that shows the relationship between indoor light and mental health. One of the reasons that light in our house is already limited is that despite the rear being west facing, there are 4 large trees in our small yard, and while we love the trees, they do block light. We are very concerned that the elm tree and not the willow, as was mentioned, it is the elm tree closest to the shared fence and to the addition would be very likely jeopardized. And should the addition result in the demise of this elm, we'll be left with limited light, but instead of foliage, we'll have a wall of siding. Lastly, I'd like to mention that once I received the owner's plans, I tried to arrange a time to meet with the owners to discuss my concerns in the context of my property. They declined my invitation, choosing only to review their plans with me from their property. I expressed my concerns, but there was no real attempt to discuss solutions to my concerns with me. Further, I was given drawings that include a new south-facing window on the first floor of the addition, as well as an enlarged second floor window on the south side, which would both face into my kitchen and backyard, but I don't see these drawings submitted in the attached documents to this committee, which concerns me. I would like to be sure that no windows will be facing immediately into my house or backyard in the new addition. To summarize, this is a very large addition that would take up nearly half of their current backyard, and it will enclose our backyard. It's a significant deviation from the properties in the area, specifically those from my property northwards, all of which share the general style of this house, being attached houses. None of them have additions on the back. And I would like to express my thanks to the committee for hearing my concerns. I request that the owners defer this application until they've made an effort to consider my concerns together with those of their other adjacent neighbor at 38 Fenwick Avenue, and then submit a more mutually acceptable plan. Thanks again.
Thank you very much. Panel members, any questions for the speaker? No. Okay, then we shall go back to the agent. And the agent now will ask you to give the opportunity for rebuttal. Please confine your remarks to the issues that were raised by the speaker. Go ahead.
Just one comment about the reaching out to the neighbor to speak. As I understand it, the owners of this property did not go over due to COVID concerns. The speaker already mentioned that the light that she's worried about being blocked from their house is already being blocked by trees in the backyard, and in fact did a light study. But the house that the addition is going on is actually to the north of the property, so I don't see that there's much light being blocked, and we have kept it away, the addition sidewall away from the property further than we had to. I think that a very typical addition to a house like this is to go full width across the back wall of the house, and we have not done that. Oh, I would like to say that I was out to the neighborhood to look at the other neighboring houses, and there are houses at 14, 22, 24 Fenwick that are, if not equal to this, approaching it, and certainly one at 26 that I've taken to Committee of Adjustment before, and I specifically know the length of it. I can tell that the neighboring properties are very close to what we're asking for, and again, we're not asking for any length that is allowed for the property.
Hello? Agent, do we still have you with us?
I am here, yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay then. Are there any questions, panel members, for? Yes, there is. Ms. Valentini, go ahead.
Hi, can you confirm that there will be no windows on, I think the neighbor to the south was concerned about windows and overlook. Are there windows on either side of the addition on the north and south side?
There'll be windows on the south side, but they're far away from the property line. They're allowed by the building code, and they won't be looking directly into neighboring windows, as you're not allowed to do by the zoning code or the building code. So we'll have a kitchen window on the side, but it will not be a direct overlook into the neighboring window on their side of their house.
Do we have that on our plans? I mean, I'm looking at the north. Oh, that's existing. Maybe I'm not looking at the right plan because I thought maybe there weren't windows. I just wanted to see where they were. Oh, how did I miss that? Okay, so that's on, what page are we on here? 650. Okay, sorry, bear with me.
20.
Drawing 13, Lisa?
Oh, 13. I thought it was 20. Okay. So drawing 13
Well, I mean, in
shows the
terms of
windows?
if you're looking.
It looks like drawing 20. So where are the windows on the, I don't see windows in the kitchen.
I think that they weren't in the plan when we went for the zoning review, so they're not showing on here. But because they're a building code issue, it shouldn't matter for the preliminary review drawings.
Well, I'm just curious as to whether or not they are going to provide overlook into the neighbor's yard. I think that's
I don't think it's into the neighbor's
like
yard. I don't think it's into the neighbor's yard that they're worried about. They're worried about direct views into their existing windows on their side of the house, and we're not allowed to locate them, so we have direct view by the building code.
Okay, and what about the second floor bedroom? Are there going to be windows on that side as well?
No, because they have a a whole rear window looking into the backyard, so there's nothing that's required. The windows that are there are existing.
Okay, Agent.
Okay, so you're telling me the building code prevents you from putting a window in so that there's direct view to neighboring properties?
That's right.
For fire reasons or whatever. I'm not sure what the reason is because I don't know the building code specifically.
Fire, but it's
And
probably
just
fire.
to clarify, you can add a window if you put a fire shutter. So if we are going to approve it, we can just go back to the same protocol, tie the decision with the drawings. That would be a better way to making sure it won't happen.
But we are allowed to have windows on the side of the house.
Well, how many windows, Agent, are that, you've mentioned that there are planned windows which don't show on this drawing. How many of those are there, and are they toward the rear of the property, or where are they?
Just a kitchen, window over the kitchen sink.
That would be, okay, all right.
It would be just into the existing building, so it doesn't sit in the addition. It's just just east of the connection between the addition and the existing. Yeah, about right there.
It's hard for us to visualize that when it doesn't show. So I do understand Mr. Cheng's suggestion that if we were to approve, that we tie the approval to this drawing. Anyway, okay, any other questions for the applicant? Hearing none. Let's then take the application into committee for, if there's anyone who wants to make a comment about it, or moving toward a motion. Any comments? Mr. Solomon, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I think that this is a modest addition, and I note that it is located 6 feet away from that property line of the neighbor who was speaking earlier and had concerns. And so I think that the variance is minor. In terms of the variance itself, I think the difference is 4 meters squared from what is the zoning permits. So I would put forward a motion to approve. I'm not comfortable adding a condition to attach it to the plans because I'm not sure that those plans are the most current, and so I would have no conditions attached.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second to that motion? If there is a second, it is seconded by Ms. Hayes. So moved and seconded to approve. Those in favor, show of hands, please.
Sorry, I just want to check, were there urban forestry conditions? I just wanted to double check. And I think it was urban forestry condition number 2.
Yes, there is.
Yes, you're right.
There is a forestry condition, yes, thank you. Okay, well, so we do have a forestry condition. Let's do another vote. Those in favor, show of hands, please. That motion, subject to forestry, is approved, and the application is approved. Panel moves along to number 7 Russet Avenue, application number 19. On 7 Russet, we have submitted materials, cover letter from the agent, September, and correspondence in opposition from number 9 Russet, dated received January the 5th. I'm assuming that's next door. So, okay. Okay, and on this application now, we'll go to the agent and ask the agent to join us by stating your name, please.
Good afternoon again. My name is Stefan Hugo. I'm the agent for 7 Russet Avenue.
Okay, Mr. Hugo, you'll have you have 5 minutes to present the main points of your application to the panel. Go ahead, please.
So, the current building is a 2.5-story brick building. It is currently a two-unit building. We are proposing a modest addition to the ground floor unit, and we're proposing to alter the existing basement and add another unit to this building. As per the variances, there was one, the variance number 1 had to do with the side yard setback of the second floor deck. We have already actually addressed that in the drawings. We have moved back the deck 3 feet from the property line, so we can take that out of the application.
Just 1 second, please. Mr. Hugo,
sorry?
Mr. Hugo, so just a second, please. So
Sure.
we're going to remove variance number 1 from the application now. And I want to
Yes,
ask
we can remove that because we've already taken care of that in the drawings.
Mr. Hugo, okay, I get that. Will you be removing any other variances as you go forward?
No, only the first.
Just the one. Thank you. Go ahead, please.
Thank you. Variance number 2 and 3 have to do with the entrance, the main entrance of the building. It's currently one main entrance that goes in the shared hallway, and there's access to the ground floor, and there's access to the second floor through a shared hallway. The proposal is to have 2 separate main entrances so that none of the tenants has to go through a shared hallway to access their unit. Number 4 has to do with the interior floor area, which there is a maximum of 0.45. That has to do with the fact that both secondary units have a maximum allowed, and the city has declared basically the second and third floor is one unit, and they have declared that the main unit. And the other 2 units, which is ground floor and basement, they have declared secondary suites, and those secondary suites add up to more than 45% of the floor area. We have a 5th variance, which has to do with the rear yard landscaping. It has, however, to do not so much with the addition that we're doing. It has to do with the fact that there's an existing parking lot, which comprises of 4 existing parking spaces that are basically the back of the rear yard, and that is an existing condition that we would like to keep. Other than that, we are keeping the landscaping as green as possible there, except for a small deck. There won't be any structures, plus we're removing an existing shed in there. I would like to address quickly the neighbor's concern, which I understand had mostly to do with the privacy with regards to the second floor deck. And since we're taking care of that and moved the deck back 3 feet, we hope that this has been taken care of, his concerns.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Salmon, go ahead, please. Question?
My question was, so just to clarify, there will still be a second floor roof deck, but not as large?
That's correct. There will still be a second floor roof deck, but set back from the property line. You can see that in A04, yes. So you see that it has been moved back 3 feet.
I see. And is there any privacy screening that's being provided on the second and third floor roof decks?
Not yet, but we're happy to do so if that alleviates the neighbor's concern.
Thank you.
And I have a question for you, Agent, with respect to the rear soft landscaping.
Yes.
That's a significant deficiency, the difference between 50% and 30%, and you say it's in order to hold on to those 4 parking spaces. Four is a lot of parking spaces. Why do you need 4 parking spaces, and what might you be able to do here to reduce that deficiency on soft landscaping in the rear? It's become a significant issue with stormwater management.
can we look at this? So, yes, I mean, they are existing, they are fenced in. It's an existing condition for a long, long time. What we did is we're not putting any more structures in the backyard, so we're really keeping the backyard and the side yard and the front yard green. We have a small, very small modest deck in the backyard, and we have removed the shed that was there to allow for the maximum of green that is there.
And what is the surface of the 4 parking spaces?
That's asphalt. There is actually supporting document, or the letter, I guess a cover letter. If you look at it, you see the picture of what it looks like right now. Sorry, then the 3rd page. Oh, one more? Yes, here.
Oh, okay.
So it's tied to the laneway that is beside the subway. So it's not really easy to change. And I guess it's a different situation than other backyards have.
Thank you. Okay. All right then. Let's go to the speaker who is standing by to speak. And
Hi, can you hear me?
We do hear you.
Hi, my name is Priyanka Paul, and I live at 9 Wested Avenue. I'm the daughter of Krishna and Pratap Paul. Yeah, so mainly we just wanted our privacy to be protected, as well as we have with the 2nd story rooftop deck, our bedrooms are also on the 2nd floor. So we're concerned about, privacy in terms of our bedrooms being on the 2nd floor. And also there's already like a limited amount of like sunlight anyway that comes in. So we just ask that like those all be taken into consideration. And obviously and just that our privacy be respected, and that my mom does have a garden back there, and the reason I bring it up is because it's currently like a lot of people. So our house is located, like the back of our house is located right by the TDC station, and a lot of people will just come out of there and like throw their stuff in my mom's garden. So we don't want any more like trash coming in there. We've also had people that have jumped the fence and have actually climbed into the fence and gone in my mom's garden. A few times I've had to go down there and like chase the people away. So we just don't want any more nuisance than we're already dealing with. We're also, and in terms of the 4 parking spaces, I thought that was owned by the TTC. I'm not sure who owns that, but if they're, I thought that was owned by the TTC, and currently those 4 parking spaces is also a place where people will urinate and and like defecate there. We've actually seen them do it. My mom will tell them to go and they don't go. So, and my parents are above 70. So they're seniors, they're not in the greatest of health. So we just ask that our privacy and our safety and our security concerns be taken into consideration.
Thank you. Okay, any questions, panel, for this speaker? Hearing none, okay, we'll go back to the agent. Agent, that's the person speaking on behalf of the next door neighbor. Your comments, please.
Yeah, it is indeed unfortunate that through the proximity of the subway station, these things happen. They don't necessarily have to do because I guess my client has similar issues there, or because they have actually a longer border to the laneway. So we have found out through that letter that these things have occurred. I'm not sure how we can help there. doesn't necessarily have to do with the variances that we're requesting, but we also want a good relationship with the neighbor in that respect. So they're working currently, the owner's currently working on separating, but it's difficult because it's right at the laneway. They're working on separating those parking spots in a way that they're less accessible. But we don't know if we can make it in a certain way that nobody can jump over there. You see that if you go on that parking spot, you're actually at the neighbor number 9's fence, and that's probably where these things happen. So they just access the parking, especially if nobody is there, and they would walk over there. So if we can do anything to alleviate that, we would be happy to consider that. It's just these things from outside our power to do if people go there and vandalize there.
Okay. Panel members, any questions for the speaker? Hearing none, we can then take the application into committee for a motion. Or comment if anyone has a comment. Ms. Hayes, go ahead, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I would support this application. I recognize the landscaping situation isn't ideal, but I don't think it's unprecedented in that neighborhood, and there is no ability to change that asphalt parking surface as it stands now. I think that the pulling back of the balconies from the lot line is helpful, but if I were to approve it, I would put a condition that there be privacy screening on the north side of that balcony to further protect any overlook issues for the neighbor. And if my colleagues have no further comment, that would be my motion would be to approve the amended application, subject to a condition that there be privacy screening on the north side of the balcony.
There's a motion. Is there a second to that?
Can I just add to that?
Okay, go
A
ahead.
couple of comments here. Why don't we have Ms.
I
Valentini
think
go
there's a
first?
third story roof deck. Can we add that condition also to the third story roof deck?
Yeah, any decks should have that screening, yes. Thank you very much for pointing that out.
North side screening to all decks. Okay. Ms. Valentini, your comment? Very good. Okay. Okay then. So the motion has been amended to, it is amended to eliminate variance number 1 and also now to have as a condition privacy screening north side of all decks, rear decks. Is there a second to that motion? It is seconded by Mr. Cheng. So moved and seconded to approve. Those in favor, show of hands, please. That is a unanimous vote to carry the motion and to approve the application. Thank you for that. And that brings us to number 20. 107 Moore Avenue. And on number 20, the panel has before it submitted materials. There's a photograph of the existing dwelling and neighboring properties at 109 and 111 Moore, received Jan 4. And there is support in the form of 13 form letters. These are signed by the owners and occupants of 99, 105, 109, 111, 115, 138, 140, 144, 148, Moore, and 1416 Kingsmere Road. Also 103 and 136 Moore, received on January 3. Very good. Okay, so let's go now to the, we'll have the speaker join us. I'm just going to check first with the moderator. Moderator, we do have someone standing by in interest.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I've tried to call her twice and sent an email, but no response.
There's been no response, okay. So on item number 20, there is no one standing by wishing to speak to the application. So we'll have the agent join us, please, by stating your name.
Good afternoon. I'm Drew Laszlo, agent for the owner.
Good afternoon to you. Okay then, panel members, would anyone care for a presentation? Does anyone have questions for the agent? Okay, hearing none, then we can take the application into committee for a motion, please. Or comment. Mr. Cheng, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I'll try that. So I would like to support this application, given the information provided is aligned with the context of the site, and it's good that they have come up with support letters as well. So I would like to also support this application without any condition.
Motion to approve there. Is there a second to that motion? It is seconded by Ms. Hayes. Moved and seconded to approve. All those panel members in favor, please show your hands. And that is a unanimous vote to carry the motion. So that application is approved. And that takes us to the end of our 9:30 agenda. So we have completed that agenda. The panel will now recess until 2 p.m. when we'll resume on item number 21, 98 Watson Avenue. So panel's now in recess until 2 p.m. See you back then. Thank you.